Okay, so this is going to be a bit of a meta workshop here, because what we're going to do is I'm going to build a Nostr app from start to finish, and then you're going to use that app to ask questions that you want me to answer towards the end of the presentation. And I think the idea here is just to show how easy it is to build on Nostr and how much stuff you don't have to think about as a developer. So how many people are actually developers, web developers even? No? No? Okay, a couple. Good, all right. So just a quick background on kind of what we're doing here. This is a Svelte app. If you're familiar with Svelte, this will all feel really normal. If you're not, this is basically a just generated Svelte app with a couple of tiny additions. I've cheated a little bit because no one wants to watch me write a bunch of CSS, so we're going to skip that part. And I've added just a little tiny kind of container markup wrapper there. Everything we're going to do is going to happen in one single page here, and we'll just jump back and forth between, this is what the app looks like right now. Just got our nice honey badger background and a box waiting to be filled with stuff. And so once we get a certain degree in here, I'll deploy it, and then everybody can pull up nostrbadger.live on their phones, and you'll be able to start asking questions. And they'll start populating in the actual app as we go. Yeah. Okay, so let's get going because we need all the time we can. Okay, so I'm going to cheat a little bit with a couple of kind of pastes in here because you don't need to watch me write imports. And I guess one thing that we want to start with very quickly, just to show you guys how easy it is to get going with Nostr, I'm going to be using NDK, which is the Nostr development kit. It's a library that just helps you try to use the Nostr primitives and do stuff in Nostr-like patterns, but without having to actually think about all the details. So we're going to first, we'll get NDK going, we'll create it. I'm going to use an even extra wrapper around it called NDK Svelte. And we need to do, we basically just need to tell it what relays we want to connect to. And again, I'm not going to make you watch me type out a bunch of URLs. Nope. So you can see here we've just basically instantiated an NDK object. And as soon as we do that, we also need to connect it. We need to tell it to connect to those relays and start using them. And I guess maybe the easiest thing is I'll do a quick kind of overview on how you can use this. So we want to use, what is it? Store, subscribe. Nostr is all WebSocket based, and so you basically are connecting to relays with WebSockets, telling them what you want, and those relays will just start sending you responses back. In most cases, you are calling stuff out and then wanting a set of events back. And like with all WebSockets, you get the kind of end of stream message at the end saying, okay, this is everything I've got. NDK generally will just turn off as soon as it gets that EOSE. It just closes down the subscription so that you're not continually opening more and more subscriptions on accident. In this case, though, we're going to create a filter here first. And it's going to be a really, really simple filter. We're just going to open up, we're going to say kinds, NDK kind, text. So this is a kind in a Nostr event is basically the thing that tells you what it is. And text is kind one. And so that's all the stuff that goes on social is a kind one event. And again, we don't want it to actually close on EOSE, so we want to pass it another option to say, not console log.
So UAC?
EOSE, it's like the end of stream, yeah. So we want to say false, get rid of all this stuff here. Okay, cool. So this is all I needed to do to say, go and grab a bunch of notes from those relays we connected to. And if we start here and say each, I can say notes as note, and then I'll wrap this in a div so it doesn't totally explode. And then if I just say note.content, that's all we need to do to come over here and now see the fire hose. So this is all the Nostr events from the entire network on those 4 relays, and since we didn't close, as new messages start to hit those relays, they'll start to pop up at the top. I'm glad we don't have images being rendered here, because God knows what we would see. But again, that's all you really needed to do to connect to Nostr and get events back. That's obviously not very helpful for us, so I'll do 2 things here, which is one, I'll paste in a little markup, so you don't have to watch me do it. All we're going to do here, though, is we're going to fetch a bunch of questions. If we have any questions, we're going to loop through them and render out a question. I've got a little avatar that's being generated by RoboHash here, just so we've got something to look at that's a little prettier. and then the question content. And if we don't have any questions, we'll just sit there and wait for questions. So that's the beginning. In fact, we'll also just add a little title here so we can see a little bit nicer. Let's see, ask Nostr Badger. And then we need to actually change this to questions, right? And so we still want the store subscribe. We still want kind one events, text events. But we are going to add another piece of information to this filter to make sure that we are filtering to just the text events that we care about. And so in this case, we're going to use a tag filter and a T tag. So Nostr tags are basically just arrays with two objects. First one is like what kind of tag it is, and the second part is what the value is. A T tag is like a hashtag, and so we want to say we're going to filter on hashtags, and we're going to say, I don't know, let's see.
Ask Nostr. Ask Nostr or something?
Yeah, we'll do like HP 2023. I'll do it lowercase, and then, yeah, ask Nostr. Okay. So there's our store. We're going to go out and fetch questions that have this tag. We expect that there's not going to be anything with that tag yet, but we'll see.
Share that house.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see how long it takes for Semi to start trolling us here.
I will not.
I hope not. So, anyways, we've got a title. We've got waiting for questions, and it's just sitting there waiting for questions. Obviously, we don't have any questions yet. We also don't have a way to ask questions, so maybe we should do that next. So we get a form. With Svelte, we don't have to worry about the actual HTML nonsense with forms. We can just say on submit. We want to prevent default, and then we want to say publish, if I can type, question. And this is just going to say when this form submits, do this function. And we'll write that function in just a second, but we'll put the text area here. Let's see, text area name is question. Placeholder is what is your question. And then we need a button to submit the whole thing. And submit, and then class. Okay. So now we have a form, and you can see here, Nostr spam, hello world, excellent. This is happening very quickly, but we can also see that as those happen, and if somebody wants to send another one of those, go for it. But the main gist is these will start to show up pretty quickly, and they'll continue to show up because we didn't close on EOSE. So that's just an open subscription that the app is now running. You can now ask questions. So I'm actually just going to stop the server here real quick. I will halfway there, and then I'll push, and this is going to deploy to Vercel, so it's just going to see that push happens to GitHub, and it's going to pick it up, and it should be live in just 45 seconds or something like that. So if you want to go to nostrbadger.live on your phone, instead of using Amethyst or Damus to send these questions, this should refresh in a few minutes. And you should start to see this over there. In the meantime, I will keep going because we need to keep going. So I'm going to get the server going again. And I'm curious if this is going to actually work. Okay, we'll come back and look at Vercel in a minute if it doesn't. Okay, so we've got an app. There's one thing that I kind of forgot to do that I'm kind of spamming relays because what I do need to do is say when the thing gets destroyed, when this component of this page gets like deconstructed, we actually want to make sure that we're not still subscribed to anything. So we just want to like turn off the subscription right at the end by saying unsubscribe. So that's just kind of a nice way of being good to relays, making sure that you're cleaning up after yourself as you go. Has anybody got that app working? Yes. Okay, cool. So feel free to start asking real questions here, please. And I'll keep going on some of the other stuff so that we can actually upvote these questions and figure out like what are the things that we actually want to answer.
Sorry, I did ask that question. Like, so when I post on this, who am I posting as?
Okay, great question. And we haven't written, oh, you guys, sorry, that's not going to work. I forgot to write the publish question method. Okay, so we're going to need to deploy again real quick. All right, so, async function, publish question. And we want an event here, which is any, okay, so the first thing we need to do is get some data from that form, right? So we're going to say form data, new form data. and then we need to pass it the event target. So that's going to be, it's just going to deconstruct the form itself. To create the actual question, we need to create a new event, a Nostr event, right? So we say new NDK event, and we have to pass that NDK so it knows what relays to publish to and what our settings are. And then we just construct the event as an object. And so there's a couple of things we need. Kind is the obvious one. So we've got NDK kind text. We need created at, which is just telling it when this happens. And because JavaScript sucks, we're going to have to write all this out. New date, get time. Okay. We have the content, which is actually the question itself. So we are going to pull that out of the form data. We need the pub key, which we don't have yet. So we'll come back to that in just 1 second. And actually, in the meantime, before we do that, the last piece that is required is tags. And so again, like I said before, we have an array of tag objects. And in our case, we just want a t tag that is the exact same as this. So I better just copy it.
You have hashtag t, and here you've got t.
Yes, because when you call a filter to the, like when you're making a query to a relay, you put the hashtag in the front, and that basically says to the relay, this is in the tags. So you're looking for a tag with the T, and then it's a bit weird because it's a hashtag and it's for T, but yeah, you just leave it like that. And then the pub key is the part we don't have yet. So what we need to do is what we're going to do is we're just going to generate a brand new identity. So every time you load the page, we'll just create a private key, get the public key out of that, and use that to publish an event. It'll be completely ephemeral. When you reload the page, you're going to come back as a different user. We're not going to add login because we don't have time. And this is actually totally fine because this sort of use case, like I don't need your identities. I don't need a KYC, to answer your question here. So first thing we need to do is get our private key. And so make sure I do that. So generate private key. And then we get the public key. And that's just
Generate private key, is that from NDK?
So that is actually from Nostr tools. So that's the lower level library. That's a TypeScript library that Nostr or that NDK uses. But yeah, it does.
Imported.
It's imported. Yeah,
right,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. These two are just imported directly from Nostr tools
Right.
rather than NDK. So now we have a public key and a private key. So let's just put public key in here while we're here. I forgot a comma. And the other thing that we need in order to sign an event is we actually have to create a signer for NDK. Because right now we don't have a way of signing. And so we're going to create a new signer, and it's going to be an NDK private key signer. This is one you don't actually use very often for obvious reasons, but we're going to use it here because it makes sense. And then we say NDK signer, and we just tell it that signer is this signer here. So this now is, we've got a public key, we've got a private key, we've got the signer, we've got this question object. The last thing we need to do is just say question.publish. And we need to await because that's a promise. So now I will come back out here and I will redeploy and say now publish questions. Okay. All right. So again, give it a few minutes on Vercel. It should only take a moment, and then the app should be able to accept questions. Okay, and we'll keep going. The next thing, like I said, we want to be able to upvote questions, which is going to be pretty similar to a lot of what we've done here so far. So I'm going to paste in a little bit more markup. I'll just run you through what it does. It's literally just a button that's going to call an upvote question method. And those upvotes are going to filter based on which question they're upvoting for. And so we're just using reactions, like a like button, to simulate what an upvote would be. Because as many likes as you get, it's basically an upvote. You could use zaps for this, which is the obvious much better version, because then people can decide like how much monetary value do I want to put behind this, rather than just a single upvote. But we don't have time for that, so we're going to stick with upvotes. And what we need to do to make this work, obviously, is that upvote question method. And what we're going to do is we're just going to copy this out. And upvote question, and this is a question ID. It's a string. Don't have this anymore. And we don't have form data anymore. In this case, we're just going to put a plus, like you could put anything in there. A lot of clients actually let you decide what your reaction emoji or system is going to be. And the one other thing that is really important here that we add is another tag to actually say, what are we upvoting? And this is the reference to an event, another event, basically. So it's an E tag, and the E tag is going to be the question ID. So this is basically us saying, this is a reaction, and it's pointing over here at this event. It's a reaction to this event over here.
So T and E are like standardized in NIPS?
Yes. So all this stuff is standardized in NIPS. T, E, A. There's like a ton of different tags that are all standardized, and you can use. I mean, there's tags for like title and description, and there's a lot of different tags. But the real key ones are these like one-letter ones, because those are the ones that you can filter on in relays. You can like make database queries effectively with those. Okay, so we've got our upvote question. We want to upvote. We want to publish that upvote. Once that happens, one other thing we'll do here is, I meant to do it before, but I didn't, so we'll say event.target.reset, just to reset the form. So that'll get picked up on the next deploy here. The other thing we don't do yet is we actually don't have our upvotes yet. We're like not making, we're not making any requests to go get those upvotes. So we need to do another NDK store subscribe and pick those up. Why is it not showing up? Store subscribe. Okay. Nope, we don't need that. Again, we want kinds, and I'm bad with kinds, so this is why I like to use this enum, because instead of having to remember that it's a kind 7, I can just write indicate.reaction. And again, same deal. We want that exact same tag. We don't want to get the full, fire hose of all the different reactions. We want the minimum amount that we can deal with here. And again, we want to not close this because we want those to keep showing up as people are upvoting. Okay, so, and again, we'll be nice. We'll come down here. Where did it go? There we go. Upvotes.
And reactions belong to nodes? Are they associated?
They're associated just because of that tag. So that E tag is the thing that associates them together. Reactions are owned by whoever is the person signing the reaction, obviously. But yeah, they're sort of connected only by that tag, and that's it. Okay, so let's just run through this and make sure I haven't forgotten anything. We have questions, we have upvotes, we've got identities, we've got a signer. We can publish questions. We're now cleaning up that form once we're done. We've got a method that's going to upvote questions that creates a reaction for us. We're mentioning the E tag, we're mentioning the T tag. We are publishing that.
Where is the question ID coming from?
The question ID is being passed in right here. So we've got, in this loop, we're looping through all of the questions that we see, and we're just putting the button in here and passing that directly.
Yeah.
So I think we're there. So let me just deploy again. Add upvotes. And we'll have to give that a minute. So this is what the upvotes look like, and you can see that obviously nothing has upvotes because this is my local one. These should probably start to pop in here in a second. When KYC on Nostr, excellent. I can answer that one in the meantime. Never. Oh, thank you. Damn it, that's the one thing I knew I was going to forget. All right. Thankfully, that's a very, very quick thing. The sorting is going to be done like this. So this is a bunch of gross JavaScript to sort something that should be pretty easy, but it's JavaScript, so enjoy it. And in the meantime, I'll have to do this loop again. Sorting. Okay. Okay, so Derek Ross, banana. Okay, so please, weird. Okay, somebody did that on purpose, I think. Are those upvotes? Am I screwing this up somehow? What did I post? Huh? No, I changed it, didn't I? Oh, fuck. Knew this wasn't going to go as smoothly as I hoped. Fix bug.
Then it starts.
Okay. Okay. Well, you'll just have to wait another 30 seconds and then. Okay. Please stop upvoting.
So how do I set to render it?
Stop
Because
training.
that's a-
So I gave it the wrong kind, and so instead of rendering reactions, I was creating text events with the content just being plus, and so it's total bug.
But how did I know to filter it? Because there's no hashtag here.
In which there is the hashtag in it.
It's just not rendering it.
Yes, because it doesn't have to render the hashtag. So what happens when you put a hashtag into the text content is that behind the scenes, NDK is actually looking through that and going, create a bunch of tags for anything that we find. And so if you manually create a tag, it knows that it doesn't need to put that into the content, but it's there already. So, yeah.
So can you opt out of the automatic scanning of the message? And
If you're using NDK, I don't think so. You could always just step down to a lower level method though. So like when I call publish, what that's actually doing is calling sign, and sign is calling a bunch of other things. And so if you just destructure that basically and do it in a different pattern, you end up with not having that happen. But it's actually generally what you want, because if you are making, like at an inpub, you want that to turn into a person tag, or a hashtag is an
yeah, what I
obvious
mean
easy
is
one.
like if you were to use NDK not for a social media
Right.
use case, but something else, and you want to keep the hashtag intact. So.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so I believe this should be fixed. Yeah, okay, we've got upvotes. So keep upvoting things. We'll make those pluses disappear down deep. We've already answered the when KYC on Nostr. I hope never, but obviously clients can do whatever they want. And so we might have KYC clients. We might have clients that have like really heavy filtering and please no one tell Semi about this. Okay, what's my favorite nip? I mean, nip 0, like the first one, the only one that's mandatory. The rest of them are optional, so I think that has to be the answer. Dame is better than Amethyst. Yeah. Apple. Dame is better than Amethyst. Yes. Derek Ross is a banana. I can confirm. He also has bananas. Any other questions anybody in the room has that they don't want to go through the app on, or?
Seems that we can upload forever, right?
Yeah, there's unlimited
We can do like.
Yes, yeah, totally. We don't have any sort of limits on that. Like you can absolutely upvote as many times as you'd like. Yeah. Yes.
How did I log in with my
So right now there is no login. Yeah, but actually I can show you, because I think we've still got a couple of minutes here. I can show you how that basically works. And in fact, we could maybe get it done. So very first thing I need to do is come up here and say NDK NIP07 signer. So that's a different type of signer. NIP07 is the browser-based, like browser extension logins. Instead of doing a private key signer, we just say new NIP07 signer. We don't have to pass that anything. We just say that it's there. And now what's going to happen is the app all of a sudden is looking for a browser extension. And so, am I running the server? No. If I go to the local version here, I'm in incognito here, so it's not going to work. And I've broken the app, and I think I know why. Oh, that's odd. Okay, something is unhappy about this. I'm guessing it's because this is Svelte, and it's trying to run stuff on the server and on the client. And so certain things that you don't want to happen on the server, when you try to call them on the server, things break. So that might fix it. No, I don't know what's happened now. Karen, do you see anything? You don't know this anyways. NDK NIP07 signer. Okay. Anyways, This is the way to do it.
Simple as that.
It's as simple as that. It's literally, and if you wanted to use an insect bunker, that's a NIP46 signer. Like it's just a totally different, there's a bunch of these different plug and play pieces for signers. It's the same with caching in NDK. There's like a Redis caching library, there's a Dexy, like, IndexedDB browser caching, and you can literally just plug and play with the different pieces. So it makes it really extendable, and if somebody wanted to do a Postgres caching layer, they could easily just do that. And so, yeah, this is the part about NDK that I really love. It makes this really, really easy. Okay. Any other questions? Why is this app not React? I hate React. Is that you? Is the code from the talk publicly available? Yeah, it's on GitHub. I'll probably clean it up just a little bit, but then I can post it on Nostr and Twitter and other places, and people can go find it.
Jeff,
I know.
you said there's no limits to the upvotes, but that's just because it didn't implement them, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I could easily make it so that I would check and see if you'd already upvoted or that sort of thing before.
Yeah.
Or I could just, I could, but again, with this, we're basically creating a new account every page refresh, so you just refresh and do it again.
So, and how would you prevent propagating, for example, from a bunch of single nodes or single?
You kind of can't. In certain things like that, like there are a bunch of kind of paradigm shifts in Nostr where you kind of have to get used to the fact that there is no single correct global view, right? Because like everybody's connecting to different relays, and so like you're never 100% sure that you're seeing everything the same way that other people are. You also, because it's so easy to create new identities, it's easy to create new identities, and so I think filtering, sorting algorithms is going to come more to Nostr over time. And that's an okay thing as long as they're open and we can look into them. When I see you start smirking, I'm like, what's coming?
I'm just tapping
Is WebSocket the only protocol, or is a protocol like Nostr can be run over Web Transport? I actually don't know Web Transport at all. It is WebSocket only for now, though. And I don't think that's going to change ever. Maybe it would. I don't know. Again, it's open. I guess the main thing is that relays are the ones that you're talking to, and so unless you've got relays that are supporting something else, you basically lose the interoperability when you start to say, it's got to be, multiple transport protocols. What language should I write the program? TypeScript, and it's a Svelte app.
What's Svelte? It's like a framework?
Svelte's a front-end framework, yeah. So it's kind of like React, or Vue or something like that. Any other questions from the room? No? Gossip support in NDK. Sort of, kind of, not quite. Does anybody know what I'm talking about, like gossip protocol? Okay. I'm probably going to butcher this, so Kieran, step in if you need to. But the idea is, if I'm publishing to relay A, and Derek is only reading from relay B, but we have a person in common, that is on relay A and B, that is like reposts a note of mine. That note won't show up for Derek unless that note gets rebroadcast to the other relay. And so gossip there's like two layers. Like one is this rebroadcasting thing. Another is you can actually encode into the Betch32 IDs. So when you've either got these like single string IDs, but then you can encode them into like inpub is a Betch encoded ID, or in profile, or in event, or note. And those encodings can contain not only the actual ID to the event and what it is, but it can also say this event could be found on these relays. And so it can leave little breadcrumbs and hints in the actual IDs, so that when you go and open those up, as a client, you can read those and then know, okay, I need to go over here and fetch that so I can actually display it. It's not supported really well anywhere in Nostr yet, and so I think it's one of those things that will come soon. Okay, maybe one more question, if there's anything?
Does Nostr support deleting events?
Yes, there's a NIP for deleting events. There's a kind. When you create that new event, you're basically just referencing another event and saying, please delete this. It is totally up to relays whether they actually listen to it or not, and it's totally up to clients whether or not they actually support that as well. Because if some relay doesn't support it and the note comes back, as a client, you can go out and find all the delete events and make sure that there's, you're removing those from the set that comes back, but it's a lot of work. And so, yeah. Okay, cool. If you have any other questions, come find me afterwards. And yeah,
Can I have
thanks.
one more?
Yeah,
Can I have
one more.
question?
Okay. Anybody else? Yes.
How would you fight spam?
There's a bunch of different ways. Yeah, like I think the way most of the clients do it right now is they use kind of a really naive web of trust, which is just like you're only going to see stuff from your followers' followers. So it takes it out like one, one layer. We're probably going to get to the point where there's much more, spam controls on relays, and that's some of the paid relays. That's like their main selling point is like we're a relay, and these are the types of things that we try not to take in and store. So we're not going to show you, NSFW stuff. We're not going to show you X, Y, and Z. Other relays are just like we take in whatever, and we're going to show whatever. So it's a combination of stuff in clients, but also a lot of stuff on relays, and then somehow giving users the choice to like see that and use that in the way that they want. Okay. Yeah, perfect. All right. Thank you, guys.